Imagine surviving in a world where every single day could be your last. No banks, no insurance, no emergency services, no stock market. One wrong decision meant starvation. One failed hunt could wipe out your entire family. Yet somehow, our ancestors survived for over 300,000 years. How? Because long before Wall Street invented risk management, prehistoric tribes had already mastered its core principles. The surprising part? Their survival strategies are almost identical to the ones used by today's greatest investors. And if you understand how ancient tribes managed uncertainty, you'll make smarter financial decisions than most people today. Let's go back to the beginning. Chapter 1: The World's Most Dangerous Economy. Imagine waking up 20,000 years ago. There was no salary waiting at the end of the month, no guaranteed food, no grocery stores, no savings account. Every sunrise began with uncertainty. Would today's hunt succeed? Would berries still be available? Would another tribe steal your supplies? Would predators attack? Life itself was a continuous series of financial decisions disguised as survival. Anthropologists often describe prehistoric life as unpredictable, but what they rarely emphasize is how carefully ancient humans managed uncertainty. Every hunt was an investment. Every journey was a calculated risk. Every resource had opportunity cost. If a hunting party chased a mammoth, they could spend days with nothing to eat. If they ignored smaller animals while chasing bigger prey, they risked returning home empty-handed. Sound familiar? Modern investors face the exact same dilemma. Do you chase high returns with high risk, or settle for smaller but more reliable gains? Ancient tribes constantly balanced this equation. They learned that survival wasn't about making one brilliant decision. It was about making thousands of decisions that reduced the chance of catastrophe. This became humanity's first version of risk management. Interestingly, many prehistoric camps discovered by archaeologists show evidence of diversified food sources. Bones of deer, fish remains, birds, seeds, roots, wild fruits. Different resources gathered during different seasons. This wasn't accidental. It was insurance. Because if one food source disappeared, another remained. Nature forced diversification long before finance textbooks existed. The harsh environment punished overconfidence. The tribes that depended on only one food source often disappeared. The tribes that spread their risk survived. This pattern repeats throughout human history. Success rarely comes from betting everything on one outcome. It comes from surviving enough uncertainties to benefit from opportunities later. That lesson is just as true today. Chapter 2: Why Ancient Tribes Never Bet Everything on One Hunt. Hollywood loves showing massive mammoth hunts, but reality was very different. Most prehistoric tribes rarely depended on one giant hunt. Large animals were dangerous, unpredictable, and often escaped. Instead, successful tribes mixed strategies. Some members hunted, others gathered plants. Some trapped rabbits, others collected shellfish. Children gathered edible roots. Elders prepared food and tools. Everyone contributed different forms of security. If one activity failed, the others still produced results. This is exactly how diversified portfolios work. Professional investors don't expect every investment to succeed. They simply avoid catastrophic failure. Ancient tribes understood something many modern people forget. You don't need every bet to win. You only need enough winners to survive. Imagine if an entire tribe ignored berries because mammoths looked more exciting. One failed hunt could become a disaster. Instead, small, consistent food sources reduced overall risk. In finance, predictable income often matters more than spectacular returns. The boring strategy usually survives longer. Ancient tribes accidentally discovered this thousands of years before economists gave it a name. Consistency beats excitement. Chapter 3: Shared resources created the first insurance system. Imagine returning from a failed hunt. If survival depended only on your own success, you might die. Instead, most prehistoric tribes shared food. Successful hunters distributed meat throughout the group. Tomorrow, someone else might return successful. This wasn't generosity. It was survival mathematics. Sharing reduced everyone's risk. Anthropologists call this reciprocal cooperation. Finance calls it insurance. Each individual accepted smaller immediate rewards in exchange for long-term security. No one knew who would need help tomorrow, so everyone invested in relationships today. Modern insurance works exactly the same way. Many people contribute. Few people experience disaster. The pool absorbs uncertainty. Ancient humans created this concept without mathematics. Trust became their financial infrastructure. Communities became their safety net. The strongest tribes weren't always the strongest hunters. They were the best collaborators.
Chapter 4. The Hidden Cost of Overconfidence. Imagine one hunter who always succeeded. Eventually, he might believe he couldn't fail. So he hunted alone, chased larger animals, ignored backup plans, stopped sharing. Nature punished confidence quickly. One injury, one storm, one mistake. Everything disappeared. Modern finance repeatedly shows the same pattern. People confuse luck with skill. After several successful investments, they increase risk, use leverage, ignore diversification. Then, one unexpected event destroys years of gains. Ancient tribes learned humility because nature constantly reminded them, no one controls uncertainty. The goal isn't eliminating risk, it's surviving risk. That's why cautious tribes often outlived fearless ones. Survival rewards resilience, not ego. Chapter 5. Planning for Winter, humanity's first emergency fund. Winter wasn't predictable. The exact timing wasn't. So preparation became essential. An emergency fund works the same way. You don't know when you'll lose your income. You simply know unexpected events eventually happen. Ancient people accepted uncertainty. Modern people often ignore it. Saving resources meant sacrificing immediate pleasure, but it dramatically increased survival. The future always belongs to those prepared for uncertainty. The tribe that saved during abundance survived scarcity. The tribe that consumed everything disappeared. Nothing has changed. Only the currency has. Chapter 6. The ancient blueprint every investor still follows. Today's financial world appears incredibly sophisticated. Algorithms, artificial intelligence, global markets, complex investment products. Yet beneath all this complexity, human behavior hasn't changed. The same instincts that kept prehistoric tribes alive still determine financial success. Diversify. Avoid catastrophic loss. Share risk. Prepare for uncertainty. Stay humble. Think long-term. The greatest investors rarely try predicting every future event. Instead, they build systems capable of surviving almost any future. That's exactly what prehistoric tribes did. They understood something civilization keeps forgetting. Survival isn't about making perfect predictions. It's about remaining alive long enough for probability to work in your favor. Every diversified investment portfolio, every emergency fund, every insurance policy, every retirement account, all trace back to one timeless idea. Don't risk everything on one uncertain outcome. Long before economists created equations, long before banks existed, long before Wall Street, ancient tribes had already discovered the most important law of wealth. Managing risk is more powerful than chasing reward, because those who survive uncertainty eventually inherit opportunity. The next time someone tells you that risk management is a modern invention, remember this. The first risk managers never wore suits. They wore animal skins. They carried spears instead of spreadsheets. And without ever studying finance, they discovered the principle that still protects fortunes today. The greatest victory isn't earning the most, it's staying in the game. If you enjoyed this journey into the ancient origins of modern finance, subscribe for more stories where history reveals timeless lessons about money, investing, and human behavior. Because sometimes the oldest ideas are still the smartest ones.